Good podcast.
Hey ladies and gents, this is your girl Brianna Javon with What's Good podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode, season 2. It's crazy. This is actually episode 13, and I have another couple with me today. I have Jen. I'll say Jen. Put y'all names together.
Makes it
Jeanette and Brent today, the Kings. How are y'all?
Good. How are
Good.
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And so, as you guys know, I don't do interviews. Instead, I do genuine conversations. So let's get into it. As you guys know, if you've been listening to other episodes, I always start off with an icebreaker. So, Brent, you're first. You ready? If you could meet any living person for dinner, if you can meet any living person for dinner, who would you pick and why?
Any living person.
Mm-hmm. This is kind of tough. So my first one was any dead person. Like, who would you sit with on a bench?
I was ready
Not
for that
twisted.
one. Any living person. Honestly, right now it would be Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, because currently I work for him, way under the totem pole. But just to know that vision, like coming up from the beginning. It's like, how did you see this? Like, did you really picture it to be as much as it is today with this kind of influence?
True.
It's like clearly he believed in himself to start off, but to know it could ever be the way it is now. So if that's something he ever really envisioned, or just the transformation of everything that happened.
I like that. All right. And Jeanette, you are next. You are next. If you had 25 hours in a day instead of 24, that extra hour, what would you do with that extra time? The way both of y'all responded to y'all's question.
Because I can feel the stare on the side of my face. Like, what you gonna do with that extra hour? Let's see. If I had a 25th hour right now, okay, so it's a toss-up.
Okay.
It's a toss-up between workout and what's that other hour? What would I do? I mean, honestly, I would probably just add it to prayer. I really don't. I have been. I mean, sleep? No, I mean, I'm okay right now, I think. But today. But one, for exercise, I used to work out like 5 days a week, like 2 hours a day. And so it's kind of drastically dropped. You know, when you're an entrepreneur, I feel like you work more than you did when you have a 9 to 5. Well, clearly that's the whole thing. So when I was working for speech therapy, I had a schedule, and so I had my time kind of planned out a little differently. But it was a little bit easier to get to working out. Where now I'm like, I have no time to work out. I'm like, okay, clearly yes, you can work out at home, but no, I'm like, I have no time to work out. So I would probably do either working out or I would just add that extra time for like prayer and meditation, because I really like silence. Like,
that's good.
But like, I would have to go lock myself somewhere.
Do you have a prayer closet?
We were just talking about that. Earlier this week, I was like, babe, okay, wherever we move next, I need a whole prayer closet. Our house right now, we have maybe one closet, like out in the like living area, outside of like bedroom closets.
Okay.
There's one, and it's under the stairs, and right now it's occupied. I'm like, how much will we miss this closet?
Right.
If I
I'm trying to maneuver some things.
Right, but he was like, no, it needs to be soundproof, you know, it needs to, because he's constantly listening while in prayer, trying to multitask there.
I get up early in the morning, and that's, to me, I feel like that's the only time I can actually pray. But even then, I feel like I'm listening for the kids, because they like to get up, and the first thing they do is run to our room. Well, they're passing me before they get there, so it's like I'm listening the whole time, not fully devoted to just praying.
I see.
So
So that makes sense, just being in the moment with God.
Right.
Right. For me, he doesn't know how I do it, but like I've learned to tune them out.
You're really good at it.
You're really good.
You're really good
They
at
could be
it.
banging on the door. I'm like, you're good, okay.
That commercial where the woman was eating the cookies in the bathroom, and she was like, he was like, Mom, I hit myself. She said, Well, are you bleeding? And he was like, No. She's like, Well, you're okay. Find your dad. I'm like,
Ooh, I'm pretty sure that's like the whole word right there. Find your dad.
All right, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the genuine conversation. The first question always is, how did you guys meet?
I'll start this off because she's going to tell a much longer story.
Oh.
But
Say that
it's
passion.
right. It's detailed. That's the song. Not just a table. For those who don't know, she told us not to bang on the table.
Yes.
I'm trying to make sure.
The couples have been like, Brianna's this, so my disclaimers.
Right.
We met in college, first year in college at UNT, second semester. I had already been there and pretty much knew everybody in the dorms. But she came to UNT the second semester and she met with a few of my current friends. And they literally just adopted her and literally brought her around to every room of people they knew and introduced her.
Okay.
Like literally knocking on everybody's door. Like, hey, have you met Jeanette? So literally God had her delivered to my door. We're gonna ignore the fact that she was delivered to everybody else's door first.
She came.
But she did count, you know, and that's how I met her. You know, we were friends for a long time before we ever realized that there was actually something there. So she knew everybody I ever dated, everything.
So it's like a whole journey in between and then y'all journey.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was so uncomfortable, honestly. I do not like to be the center of attention. I know it's kind of like, wait, with what you do, how I just don't like it. I really don't. So when they kind of like adopted me, so to speak, like it was literally they were like, okay, that's a new girl. It was like 2 girls on the bus. And I'm like, hey, come sit with me. I'm like, sure, okay. And then introducing themselves. And they're like, okay, do you know anybody? I'm like, no, I literally just been here for a whole 2 seconds. And so they took me around the dorm, literally knocking on everyone's door, like, hey, have you met Jeanette? And so, I mean, I literally got to know them very quickly. You know, I had never experienced anything like that because I'm from New York, and so people just randomly talking to you, being nice to you, I'm like, so they're probably looking at me like I was crazy, like, why is she so apprehensive? But then when they figured out I was from New York, then every 5 seconds it was like, say this, say that.
Did you have the accent?
Yes, but me being a speech therapist, I've learned to tone it down quite a bit.
Okay.
But if I'm in New York or on the phone with somebody from New York or mad, then you will hear it.
So when I first met you, when you said New York, I was like, I would never guess.
Yes, I can.
If you hear her talk to her grandma, all of a sudden the accent just comes out like she never.
Well, and then she's West Indian, so it's like West Indian, New York. So then it's like.
I can literally walk by the room and I hear the way she's talking. I know who she's talking to.
Hilarious.
Change it to a completely different person.
Anyway, so after that, you know, that's how we initially met. So this was back in, I don't know, January of 2005. So I moved to Texas in. Yeah, it's been a minute. That was January of 05. And I had just moved to Texas in July of 04 after I graduated from high school in New York. So graduated high school in New York, came here, met him I guess my second semester of college, but first semester at UNT. But yeah, we were actually just acquaintances first. I was very close with his roommate because we had a class together.
Gotcha.
And then, so me and his roommate, we're very close. And he, let's see, I guess his girlfriend at the time, she ended up becoming my roommate. And they're married now, of course. And so it was just kind of interesting because we didn't really see each other that way. It was kind of like, you know, he was with someone, I was with someone, we were just always around each other.
Gotcha.
And then I think eventually it was just kind of like, you guys should, and we're like, no. And then they were like, yeah, no. And then it was just like, you guys should. It's just like, it was kind of like years and years and years of like revisiting that. But it was always like wrong time. It was always bad timing, missed opportunity. But yeah, this is the clean version.
Okay, so what? Because you mentioned missed opportunity. I have to ask some questions now.
Okay.
What would be an example of that missed opportunity? Because like you may be in a situation, you were in a situation.
It's kind of a back and forth thing.
Gotcha.
So.
Go ahead.
So when I first moved to Texas, my oldest daughter, Leah, she's not by Brent, she's actually by another guy that I met when I first moved to Texas. So now we're just friends, but then we ended up getting together, but then I went to UNT and, it just didn't work out between him and I. It was just not a good relationship, and then shortly after that, I found out I was pregnant. So I was like, okay.
And it was already over at that time.
Yes, it was already over. I had found out. Clearly when we weren't together, and so I had to decide on what I was going to do. But I just at the time I was just like, okay, I don't believe in abortion, and I knew that inside I would regret that.
Yeah.
And if you ask anybody that knows me or anybody in my family, I'm the last person that they thought would get pregnant. And so. Life happens, and so I literally took off a semester and actually ended up being a year. I took off a year, and then I came back to school. When I came back, I want to say that is when him and I actually started becoming a lot closer. When I came back, Leah was just a few months old. She wasn't even a year yet. So he's been in Leah's life since she was born, pretty much. So she doesn't really, I think, remember him not being there.
Right.
So it was just pretty interesting kind of how that came about. When I came back, he was living with his then roommate still, and his girlfriend, and they really helped me essentially like raise her, because I was a single mom, like single teen mom in college, and I was going to school full time and working full time.
Gotcha.
And so when I had like a night class, they would help like watch her, like his girlfriend was like, oh yeah, I can get her, and so she was always there. They were always there. They were extremely supportive, and I want to say that's how I really grew my friendship and like my relationship with them. So coming back to school, I was single, and I didn't realize I was in a relationship. I wasn't like checking or nothing, I just didn't know, and he was kind of keeping a secret from me. So I'm like, do you not want me to know that you're in a relationship? I don't know. He says he wasn't keeping it from me, but he was keeping it from me.
Brent.
He wanted to answer the question.
We weren't talking about it.
All right. He likes to he's like, well, you didn't ask, so I mean. I don't think I had to
We were
ask.
just friends, and she didn't ask.
So were
I'm
you
gonna walk into the
feeling
room
him?
and be like,
At that time, I mean, no, we were really, like I said, really close friends. He was somebody that I knew that I could rely on. Like, I could rely on him. And it was, I don't know if it was like because he was like off the market then. It was kind of like, there was always flirtation. I feel like it was just a little bit more amplified over those next couple of months, I want to say. So yeah,
Well, since she was single, Brent, what made you leave that situation? Because I mean, y'all are married now, so like, what made you move past that and get with Jeanette?
I didn't at first for quite some time. When she came back, I was in one relationship, and after that ended, I was in another relationship.
He was always in a relationship. Yes, he was the relationship guy. I don't think Brent was ever single.
Really?
Yes.
You're like, yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Even when I didn't know I was in a relationship, I was.
That's very true. I was like, Brent, you in a whole relationship. He's like, you think you're right?
So were you, I hate to say waiting on a man, because I feel like, I don't know, it has like a negative connotation in the sense they were just sitting still for somebody. But would you say like you had hope, like that's going to be my man one day?
Actually, no. I mean, so so the behind the scenes was homecoming, like that year, clearly I had gotten a little tipsy and we were in the car, and I just kind of was like overly flirtatious, ended up making out in his room, and then it was kind of like, okay, wait, you with somebody, and then we kind of just left it there, right? But it was just always like a lot of like, I feel like tension. So then but we knew how to restrain ourselves. It was so interesting, and I want to say we did it.
Restrain myself.
He regrets it now. So we, we were able to maintain a friendship. I am laughing right now. But yeah, we were able to maintain a friendship, and be cordial and like, keep moving. I actually, shortly then after, I knew I did not really want to be in a relationship, if I'm being honest, because I came back to school, I had a daughter, and for me, it was way more important for me to get my degree. And so I really was honestly just playing the field, if I'm being honest. Like I just did not. I was like, well, if something happens with something happens, but I'm not really looking for a relationship. And so it was like a few months of that.
Me and the relationship guy.
Right. So y'all were really on the opposite. That's what it sounds like.
And we kind of were. So I think at the time, like, because when all that happened, I think we were just thinking like, okay, we're going to end up going too far, and then like we may not be on the same page. And then I kind of always would put myself in a position really where if I feel like I'm going to be disappointed, I kind of like beat them to the punch in a sense. Like for me, my mindset was always like, well, I have a daughter, so no one's going to want to be with me.
Oh no.
So I was in college, and so you gotta think, like at the time it was 18, 19, so I'm like, guys my age, all they want to do is like party, have fun, they're in college. No one wants like somebody with like a child, and if they want to be with me, I know they just don't want to really be with me, just want to be with me. Right, so for me, I was just like, well, I'm gonna be okay with that. Like for me, like it has to be worth it for me, but right now I just want to focus on getting my degree. And so after, I want to say a semester or two of that, I actually started dating a friend of mine from high school. So it was a long distance relationship.
I was going to say, I'm sure, am I not tripping?
Yes, so I was actually in a long distance relationship with this guy for 3 years.
Oh, long distance?
Long distance for 3 years. I mean, we would literally travel back and forth from New York for like every other month or something.
Because your family was still out there, so it wasn't a problem for you.
Well, my immediate family, it was here in Texas, like my mom, dad, sister, brother, but everyone else is still in New York.
Right.
So it wasn't really anything. And he knew him and they knew each other. They really, but he didn't think anything of it. He just thought he was my friend. I'm sure he,
We were just friends at that time.
Very flirtatious friends.
Okay, so let me ask you that. With you guys building that friendship, what was the benefit of that before just jumping into a relationship?
As far as in our marriage?
Or just
beforehand, because it seemed like y'all had like a good little journey before y'all made it official.
Right.
So what would you say would be the benefit?
Like she said, the biggest thing is like we were afraid to actually cross that line and then not be able to go back because we were so close and like our friends were so close. Like we were a very tight little knit group, and it was like, okay, if we mess this up, everybody gonna be mad. It wasn't even just us, everybody gonna be mad.
So they got that little community.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was one of those things where it's like she knows everything about me. She knows everybody I've dated, she knows my family now. It was like, so it was great to have that companionship with somebody.
That sounds so
Especially like you don't usually have that very much with the opposite sex. It's like, yeah, your boys might know everything about you, but to have a girl that actually knows everything about you, everybody you dated, what you've been through with them, like it was.
We became best friends, honestly, even in our relationships. So our our partners knew that we were best friends, and they were okay with it. I think it was because, well,
on your end, maybe not.
Some of them were okay with it, but for me, I really made a genuine effort to get to know like his girlfriends and everything, like so that they would feel. He wanted them to really feel comfortable with the fact that we were friends. It really wasn't until I want to say my senior year, or I guess our senior year. So I did the 4-year program in 3 years. I was determined to leave. I was wanting to graduate.
You made it happen though.
Right, you graduated, great. So I did the 4-year program in 3 years. I came back and I was pretty much coming back with a vengeance because I mean everyone in my family told me if you have this child you're not going to do anything with your life. You're not going to go back to school. And so I was like, oh, I'm not. So I took it really as a challenge. I don't know why I felt like I had to prove something to them. I don't know if it was more or less proving something to myself. But regardless, I knew that I had this little person. I was really ready to get out of school just so I could make money to provide for her, you know? So the plan was always after I graduated to move to New York.
Okay.
So
it was really temporary in Texas.
It was temporary for me because when I moved to Texas, I was not wanting to move to Texas, if I'm being honest. Like, it was a whole culture shock. They were like, yeah, we're gonna move to Texas. And I cried. I was like, why Texas? Like, there's cows, like cowboy, like what?
Everybody.
I mean, you gotta understand, I'm from New York, so like, you think, you know, you don't really know. You're not really exposed.
On TV with these riding cowboy. I'm like, that is not us everywhere.
I'm just letting you know, every stereotype about New York is true. I'm just being real. But I mean, the rudeness and everything, I really had to be broken down from that. I'm a whole different person than I was.
I wouldn't guess any rude or nothing.
Right. I mean, every other word culturally in my family, like cussing was like just every other word, and that's the way that I spoke. That's the way that I was until maybe about like 3 years ago. I'm gonna cut it off at 3.
You started getting better way before you.
Okay, I got better, you know.
Was your language like that too?
No, so this is the other thing. So we were complete opposites. I mean, if I'm gonna be essential, like he's this country, like you know, laid. He's country, country laid back, you know, guy, and I'm very like on New York, very like hustler mentality, like just very fast paced, like vulgar, like it was just in my family. So complete opposites. So I really didn't see myself with anyone, I mean, if I'm being truly honest, than a New Yorker type of person.
Just what you were used to.
Yes, and so my ex, clearly, he, New York guy, so I knew that I wanted to move back to New York. And then being in a long-distance relationship really kind of amplified that. Okay. So that was always the plan. It really wasn't until we started getting closer to graduation that it really amplified between Brent and I. Like, we ain't never told nobody this.
No, I'm surprised you did. But,
I'm excited.
Right?
Give it to the people. Give it to the
She
people.
said, let me know. This is the first time. No.
yeah, I mean, I will say my biggest culture shock was, number one, being introduced to her family. And she kind of hooked me in with the food. Like, I'm a foodie.
Y'all be cooking?
I'm a foodie, and like her dad would cook every time we went over there, and her mom would cook, and those foods that I wasn't used to.
Yes.
It was something different. And you know how in opposites attract. It was like one of those things. It's like, okay, I've never experienced any of this type of food or this culture. I mean, it was also a shock, but those probably the most cussing I've ever heard in my life in a household. And it was like every time, it's like, I thought it was a one-time thing. It's like, this is really happening.
All right, my family.
It's like, it's just the flow of the sentence. Like, oh, you really use that word in there. It's like, you really made it fit. I was like, I like the way you did it, but like.
So
it's like, I grew up in a very Christian conservative household. And it was like, military family at that.
Gotcha.
So it's like, I'm a military brat. I was born in Germany. I don't know nothing about Germany. But I was probably 8 or 9 before I realized I was born there. Okay. But anyway, it was like, so just her whole family and culture was so opposite from anything I had really been around. So it was like, I don't know if that really drew me in. It was like, I just want to see what happens next. Like.
So was this being invited as a friend at the
time?
Yeah.
I would invite all of my friends. They would come over to eat and stuff. So he was always introduced as my friend. But behind the scenes,
question that though.
Well, it wasn't towards the end.
The love in the air, like you mentioned, like it was always.
I think
a feeling.
It was definitely once we crossed that line, it was very apparent. Because we clearly crossed the line before I moved to New York. We actually never told anybody that. A couple people, I don't think anybody knew. Like a couple people knew, but no. So it was more or less like I just asked. I was like, okay, again, I think it was an opportunity where he was single and then I was not. So again, that past time, and then he was really kind of pushing it. And I'm just like, hold on. Because you're single now. Now you want to push up on me. You feel a little threatened. And he was like, no, that's not what it was. Oh, that's what it is. So now you're going to wait.
I mean, it became a little bit more real. There's like, you for real leaving. Like,
yeah, and so I think so it was like, okay, just one time. Like, that's it. Like, you know, and I was legit like, that's it, right? And then,
that's what we tell ourselves.
Right. And then, I mean, and so honestly, what really helped was that I went to New York for like, 2.5 weeks after that, 3 weeks. It was like during Christmas break, so I was gone. And so I was like, okay, it has some detachment, so, you know, I can move on mentally, like, okay, this is good. Come back, and it was just so not that way. It was so not that way. It was legitimately like, he's like, yeah, I didn't expect that to happen. I just really missed you. And so we were legit like on the down low for like 6 months.
Like it was just between y'all before y'all let the family and friends know.
Well, yes, it gets better.
Y'all faces are too funny right now.
It gets better. So literally we were seeing each other for like 6 months. It was hard because I had to really ask him. I said, she's like, let me make sure this is still working. Like I had to really ask him. It was when we got closer to graduation and I said, okay, do you not want me to go?
Oh, it's starting to get deeper.
Right. So I asked him and he was just like, I don't want you to go, but I'll let him tell you what he was going to say. I'm not going to tell him.
I was in a position where it's like, I felt like I had to let her go. Because like, this has been your plan since I've known you, that you were leaving, you were going back to New York, you already had your life made up in your mind. And I feel like if I ask you to stay and you do, you're always going to be second guessing it. Like, it was one of those things where like, first bump in the road, you can be like, I'm going to New York. Yeah. And it's like...
Right, and I mean, in all fairness, he had he liked my ex. Like, they had, it gets better. They liked each other, but he also knew that he was really good to my daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was my best friend from high school. So he's, known me since she was a baby as well. Like, it's just crazy how we put these stipulations on ourselves. Like, you're a teen mom, you have a child, no one's going to want to be with you. And to I just never saw that, like, I had like 2 really great guys that not only wanted to be with me, but like wanted to help, like that loved her, that wanted to help her with her. And I never wanted to put that on him because I just didn't feel like that he was ready for that responsibility. Because it's like, okay, yeah, you gotta take me on, but you gotta take on a child, especially because it's not like I can just, we can date in secret and not like she knows who you are,
right. From a baby,
right? And so, so after, once we kind of had that discussion, I just went ahead with my plans to move to New York, and and Brent helped me move there.
So you went to New York too?
In a U-Haul with her now ex.
So
and drove.
Yes.
Oh, so all of y'all
22 hour drive?
24.
All of y'all are in the car together.
So we're in a U-Haul. Imagine this. We're in a U-Haul. So we're in this U-Haul, and I'm in the middle because I'm the only one that can sit in the middle because there was like no leg room. Where it's like we're driving this U-Haul and it's pulling my car because I'm moving everything to New York, and Brent is on one side and my ex is on the other, and they would switch and whatever, but like we're all in this car. So for me, you know what? I mean, honestly, clearly I'm like just that bold because I like was cool as a cucumber. I'm like, okay,
Not tripping, not sweating.
I'm not sweating because I'm like, if I sweat, then there's gonna be a problem.
I'm gonna say something.
Right. And so, yes, 24 hours. I mean, and the thing is, because he, like I said, he didn't suspect anything, clearly. I think, we always had that conversation. I did ask. He did feel like, he's like, I feel like Brent has feelings for you. But he did not think that I had feelings for him. Oh. Okay. So he did, but he knew, he was like, but I also feel like, even though he has feelings for you, like, he respects me enough to not, like, cross